California is suing the Trump administration again, this time over a proposed question on the 2020 census. Commerce Department is now on the record. The 2020 census will include a question on citizenship. It's a question that hasn't appeared on the census since the 1950s. Justice Department requested the change, saying the data is necessary to enforce the 1965 Voting Rights Act. State of California immediately challenged in federal court. The Attorney General says the question unfairly targets immigrants and threatens civil rights. Central Coast is home to one of the largest immigrant populations in the state, and there are similar concerns that the question may deter census participation and potentially affect the allocation of federal funds to critical programs. Action News reporter Bianca Beltran joins us now with more on that part of the story.
Well, Aaron, a lot of important decisions are made using census data, and critics say that citizenship question could put billions of dollars at risk. The U.S. Constitution mandates the national census every 10 years. The data collected determines how many seats each state receives in the U.S. House of Representatives. California has the most at 53, but the Public Policy Institute says the state could lose one seat or face redistricting based on recent population trends. With the proposed addition of a question about citizenship, critics say the data could be jeopardized.
With all the anti-immigrant rhetoric that we're hearing now, those families are concerned. How is their information, how is the data that they're providing to the census going to be used perhaps against them?
The vice chair of the Monterey County Republicans says it's a reasonable question to ask and could provide useful information.
There's also, I think, a pretty legitimate concern among Republicans that there may be voter fraud going on. And some of this data may help to find if there are problems in voter fraud and voter data.
Party politics aside, the census data helps determine how to allocate more than $600 billion in federal assistance to programs like nutritional assistance, Medicare, Section 8 housing, and the National School Lunch Program, resources that are much needed in poorer neighborhoods.
A community like Calizal, it would be a big deal. When we have 75% of our students being English learners and 97% being Latinos and a large number of those being recent immigrants, then of course collecting that type of data would again bring some more fears into the families and thereby reducing the number of eligible families that would qualify for this because they would be reticent to provide that information.
The chair of the Monterey County Board of Supervisors says he's requested County Council to look into possibly joining the California Attorney General as a plaintiff in his lawsuit or filing an amicus brief in support of it. That will be discussed in closed session next Tuesday. Aaron.
All right, Bianca, thank you. Another issue with the 2020 census, it will be the first time most responses will be collected online, raising more concerns about participation rates. Meantime, Orange County leaders have decided to fight the state sanctuary law for undocumented immigrants. Law aims to protect immigrants from deportations under the Trump administration. Orange County supervisors, all of them Republicans, voted unanimously to join the U.S. government's lawsuit against California. This comes a day after more than a dozen states joined the Trump administration's lawsuit against California. The states are all led by Republican governors. In a court filing, the state said California's sanctuary law is designed to interfere with federal immigration enforcement. It claims California doesn't have that authority. California leaders, though, say their policies increase public safety by promoting trust between immigrants and law enforcement.